Authorities are looking into political rivalry as a possible motive in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo.
Here in Negros Oriental, there are some issues also like mobilist terrorist groups, perhaps it could be personal grudge, and of course, intense political rivalry is one of the angles that we are trying to look at.
Maraming anggulo yan di ba? Baka sabihin mo may nakaaway nung araw o kung saan o politika, no? Lahat naman ito pinag-aaralan maigi, no? Pasensya na po kayo, pero mahirap mag-komento no? Talagang one thing is for certain is that maganda ang progreso. That's what I can tell you. Maganda ang progreso ng investigasyon ngayon. May nahuli tayo, maganda investigasyon, at may baka mga mahuli pa ito, matutuntun din natin ang mastermind dito.
Pamilya Teves na kalaban ni Governor Degamo sa politika, nagsalita na sa issue.
Sa lahat ng krimen, ang unang hinahanap ng investigador at pulisya ay motibo. Kung sino yung pinaka may balak at magkakaroon ng benepisyo sa pangyayari.
At least 7 former and sitting local government officials have been the target of assassins since the Marcos administration took power. The latest, a close ally of President Bongbong Marcos himself, Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo. Is politics at play in these brazen attacks? We discuss in this episode of the Chiefs. Good evening, ako po si Robbie Alampay. Kasama po natin ngayon dito sa studio Ed Lingao of One News, and then maya-maya Ed, samahan tayo online ni Ami Pamituan, Philippine Star.
Yeah, good to be back.
And welcome back to the studio.
Yeah, finally. Hirap maka-zoom
Tama-tama, because I wanted to ask you, you know more than me on this, but based dun sa nakita naman ng mga tao, I think by now, everybody has seen that video dito sa assassination ni Degamo. Galawang sundalo talaga yun.
Galawang sundalo, pero hindi sila galawang isang unit sila.
Ano ibig sabihin?
Ibig sabihin, parang, well, you can tell from the movements na they know what they're doing, they know how to act individually, but they don't know yet how to act as a unit.
Okay.
Kumbaga, may pumunta doon, dapat may babantay dito, may babantay dito. Medyo
ito
magulo
lahat rumatrat.
Oo, medyo magulo to
But what can you say about yung ito, may suspect ka agad, may nahuli ka agad, a couple of hours after?
That is surprising. And on several levels On one hand, just a few days after, ang daming nahuli kagad, 4, may isang napatay, tapos lahat sila halos doon sa isang lugar lamang na ironically doon pa sa bailiwick ng political rival.
Speaking of political rival, kanina nag-statement na kaagad ng mga Teves saying na wala kaming kinalaman dyan. And they are anticipating that obviously mapupuntirya sila because in a nutshell yun yung nangyari dito, di ba? Si Roel Degamo, actually si Teves muna, brother ni Annie Teves yung unang na-proclaim.
Si Henry Price.
Si Henry ang na-declare na
winner,
na governor. Pagkatapos nag-protest kasi merong Roel Degamo na nuisance candidate na eventually when the COMELEC upheld that, then na overturn yung proclamation ni Teves, ni Henry Teves, and then si Roel Degamo. Well, anyway, ngayon sinasabi ng Teves, wala kami kinalaman dyan, obvious bang mapupuntirya kami dito?
At may sinabi na yung Pangulo, sabi ng Pangulo, it's political in nature, which is something interesting kasi we don't know kung anong basyan nila so far. All we have right now is speculation, but the President saying it's political in nature.
Tama ba yung teka muna, ito na pala si Ami Pamituan. Ami, welcome to the Chiefs.
Hi, good evening.
Obviously, we're talking about the assassination ni Degamo. Ano bang bagong anggulo na ilalabas niyo bukas sa Philippine Star?
Wala na, pareho lang sinabi nyo. Kaya naman nagsalita sila Teves kasi sinabi nga ni President Marcos, mukhang politics, di ba? Mukhang sigurado siya na politics Wala namang ibang kalaban kundi yung mga Teves. Kaya siyempre, nag-react yung mga
That's at the
Tingnan
local.
natin.
That's at the local level. But correct me and then validate this sa pagkakaintindi ko also. One interesting point here also is that the president has spoken as he should. Ang dami ng assassination na nangyayari,
Sunod-sunod,
diba? Mga sunod-sunod. But equally
In 3 weeks.
noteworthy. Yeah, but equally noteworthy itong si Digamo really was a supporter of Bongbong Marcos in the last elections also.
At na-shock daw si President Marcos watching the video. Di
Pero
ba?
nagpapakitang gilas din itong kapo ni Tevez kasi si Congressman Arnie Tevez nag-introduce ng bill renaming NAIA sa
tama.
Marcos International Airport.
Oo. At saka yung anak din niya yung nasabit dun sa
Well,
di ba
yeah.
yung nambugbog
Sa Parañaque.
That one too.
Well, anyway, we will touch on all of that, not just the political rivalry, but this entire atmosphere of, like we said, ang dami nang na-assassinate. I think up to seven mayors, vice governors, governors. We will touch on all of that. We have updates also from task force, the task group probing the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Digamo. We'll touch on that. The chiefs will be right back. Welcome back to the Chiefs. We will be speaking now about the Digamo's assassination, and 2 days after the very bold attack on the Negros Oriental governor and several of his supporters. The police are saying that they are closing in on a mastermind. Let's get the latest on this case from Lieutenant Colonel Gerard Pelare. He is the spokesman of the Special Investigation Task Force on Digamo's murder. Good evening, Lieutenant Colonel Pelare. Welcome po to the Chiefs.
Good evening po.
Good evening, sir.
Main Colonel.
Let's just dive into any updates. Ano po bang latest information natin dito?
Yes, sir. As of now, sir, we have arrested 4 suspects. And as reported po, we have 1 dead suspect. Just this afternoon, we were able to refer the case or the complaint to the prosecutor's office against the 4 arrested suspects. While we are still pursuing for the remaining suspects with our PNP and AFP combined forces.
Okay. Yung po, as far as yung mga suspects are concerned, yung mga damay talaga dito sa ambush, or dito sa assassination. But nabanggit din po namin, may mga sinasabi na nalalapit na raw po kayo sa pinpointing a mastermind. Totoo po ba to?
Yes, actually, we have substantial information already. We have good leads in the conduct of our investigation. And since we have still conducting course of operations, we cannot divulge information right now.
Pero we won't ask you, of course, to preempt any investigation or any operations forthcoming, especially as you go after this mastermind. But can we ask you about the motive and the main theory behind this attack?
As I said, sir, we cannot divulge this very sensitive information right now. As we are still pursuing and we will be conducting more operations in the days.
Yes, sir. Well, sir, we understand naman po, we don't want you to compromise naman any tactical information eh. Pero ano lang po, just to be clear lang po kasi yung Pangulo na mismo nagsabi sa kanyang statement kanina na political in nature yung pagkakapatay kay Governor Digamo. We're wondering naman po kung saan po nanggaling yung hugot na yon, ano po yung basehan na ang mismong Pangulo nagsasabi na politika ang pinagbulan ng lahat na ito.
Yes, sir. We are heading in a very good direction right now in our investigation, sir.
Ibig sabihin, sir,
Colonel, sinabi din ni President Marcos na ang utos niya dismantle ang private armies. So ang spekulasyon ngayon itong mga nahuli ninyo, member ng private army instead of hired guns. Tama ba yon yung spekulasyon na yon?
This is part of a big group po na we are trying to dismantle through subsequent police operations.
well, Colonel, at the very least, can you give us an idea kung ano yung nature nitong mga suspect na nahuli niyo, itong apat na ito? We understand po that they are all former, if not all, most are former army people or soldiers. At anong klase po mga sundalo sila?
Yes, sir. According to the background, the profiles of these suspects, they are former members of the military who were dishonorably discharged from the service. The information that we got ay mga highly trained po sila. And they came from, some of them came from Mindanao, may iba po from Region 6. And they were gathered just to conduct this very gruesome crime.
Sir, if they were dishonorably discharged, ano po ang, as far as we know, what were they doing prior to this attack? So if they were no longer part of the army, do we have intelligence or information on what their actual activities were?
We don't have definite information po kung ano po yung trabaho nila before this crime that they commit. But during the custodial debriefing, yun po yung naging result na they were gathered to conduct this activity.
Would you say,
Colonel,
sir, tinitingnan namin yung bio nito mga to, Military Intelligence Battalion, Light Reaction Battalion, Infantry Battalion in Hulo. For those of us who don't necessarily understand how everything is organized and trained sa military, could you give us some idea on the capabilities and the trainings of these people in their respective battalions?
Yes, sir. As shown in the video taken po, we can really infer that these are highly trained individuals. No? Na dumaan po ito ng masugtog na training, operations and intelligence. And before they launch this attack, they have planned well. They have conducted surveillance and casing. So this was a deliberate and a well-planned attack on the government, perpetrated by highly trained ex-military members po.
Colonel, alam na ba natin kung saan nila nakuha yung mga armas nila? Puro high power dyan, meron pa silang grenade launcher. Alam na ba yung source nun?
We have forwarded po the firearms to the ECO for verification. Wala pa po.
Pero may possibility ba na galing yun sa military or police?
Until we can get the result of the verification, ma'am, that's the only time that we will know saan po galing. Kasi may isa pong long firearm doon na walang serial number. All other, may mga serial numbers that we have already forwarded to the EPO for verification. Anytime from now, we will have the result of the verification.
Pero sir, I've seen the photos of the rifles that they used na nakapture ninyo. They don't look like the typical rifles being used by our military. They look like they were ramped up or they were mas maganda yung mas maganda yung mga accessories eh. So from your point of view ba, mukha bang ganon? Mukhang these are not your typical military firearms?
Assorted po yung ginamit. May M4, may M16 Armalite, at saka may mga na-improvise na po yung mga baril na ginamit.
Oh, meron pang parang floating barrel. Tapos sir, may RPG. That is not military issue.
Yes, sir. We have also recovered RPG, I think 3 RPG. Along with my short firearm then, may mga bandoliers, may bulletproof vest. It appears that they were really very prepared.
Lieutenant Colonel, you are, of course, your spokesperson, as we said, of the special task force to look into this, and you are discussing with us things that we are learning after the attack. But as far as you know, was there intelligence to indicate that something, this brazen, this high profile was going to come down?
Actually, months before, we have monitored threats already against the governor. That is why immediately we have increased number of security details. And the Armed Forces of the Philippines also provided the governor a team to secure him.
So, I mean, could you expound on that a bit? Because siyempre kami, ang nakikita lang naman namin, like everybody on social media, nakita lang naman namin yung nasa video. And that's one of the things that maybe naively we're all saying, no, parang walang security. But you're saying that actually hinigpitan at saka dinamihan ng security in the weeks or even months prior?
Yes, sir. In fact, we believe that during the attack, the security detail was able to retaliate because in the subsequent recovery of the vehicles, may blood stains po doon. We believe that that was coming from the suspect also.
Okay.
And may dalawang security detail po na nasaktan, natamaan din during the incident.
Okay. But could you walk us through that scene? Again, we're just relying on the little that we've seen. Pero itong eksenang to, na lahat na nakita. Could you explain to us, because ako, ang una kong reaction is parang, alin kaya dito ang security? Ba't walang security sa loob? You're saying na may nagantihan ka agad sa labas at may naputukan. And definitely, may nahuli ka agad na suspect. Pero dito sa eksenang to, where is the security? Where do we get any indication that this was actually already a situation of tightened and heightened security for the governor?
Yes, sir. Just to give a background, the information that we got that every weekend po, Saturdays and Sundays, it's customary for the governor to receive visitors, yung mga constituents niya, to give assistance po. So, expectedly, marami talagang tao na coming in and out during weekend. So, when at around 10 a.m., nag-barge itong mga armed persons, they were disguising like as government forces. So, parang they have gained entrance po while the governor was entertaining visitors. They just suddenly po na nagpaputok itong mga suspects. Yung mga security po were scattered actually. But the suspect really nag-conduct po ng casing ito, nag-surveillance. And they have, as we can view in the CCTV, naka-strategic positions po talaga sila. Kaya po
So, pero initially, akala pala kakampi sila, no? So, in the meantime, pati presidente, na-shock daw sa nangyari doon. Ano na yung security preparations ngayon dyan sa probinsya, dyan sa around the house, not only around the house, but in that area? Kumusta na yung mga security preparations ninyo?
Yes po. With the assistance of the Armed Forces of the Philippines po, the PNP is now on maximum police presence here in Negros Oriental. We have also afforded security for the victims and their families po. Right now po, we have started strategically yung mga PNP at EAP personnel because as we know, sir, we are still conducting at pursuit operations against the remaining suspects po.
Sir, actually, sir, ang dami nagulat dun sa bilis ng pagkakahuli niyo sa 4 na suspects saka sa pagkakapatay dun sa isa. Are you free to tell us exactly how you're able to track them down and capture them in such a short time?
Yes, sir. When we received the information, the provincial director received the information regarding the alleged shooting incident, nag-declare po agad nung dragnet operations, may tinatawag kasi dito na Uplan Tambayayong, yung mga police stations, together with our armed forces of the Philippines counterparts, may designated area na sila for blasting in any eventuality. So, nakaset up po ng checkpoint. Ginagawa po ito normally, may mga simulation exercise po ito. Yung synergy of operations between the PNP and AAP was already established long before. Kaya nung pa-escape na yung mga suspects, in their way, may blocking force po. Kaya nag-U-turn sila at orient po sila sa plano nila ng escape road. Kaya po, iniwan lang nila yung vehicle nila and they fled on foot. That gave us the opportunity to conduct a more strategic and pursuit operation po. Then they have hidden their firearms about 500 meters from where the vehicles were abandoned. Kaya we easily tracked them down. Yung tatlong suspects after 5 hours po, nahuli na po. And the people of the area readily gave information which gave us the opportunity to conduct a successful manhunt. Another word po, yung mga pulis at sundalo natin are already rehearsing their security measure in case of this kind of eventuality.
Sir, zoom out tayo ng konti. We want to talk about also itong direktiba ng Pangulo to dismantle all private armies. Bago po, siguro ito yung segue natin doon. Ito pong ito pong mga suspects, pati yung mga hinahabol nyo, are they associated with any particular private army or are these just a band of different mercenaries na pinagtagpi-tagpi at recruit from different places?
Right now po, we're trying to establish kung ano po talaga ang nature nitong grupo na ito. But the information that we got is talaga pong purposely ginather sila, in-import sila to conduct this kind of atrocities. And these are already the indications that this is a private armed group po. So in response to the instruction of the President, we are going to dismantle this group and all other related group na masasabi nating private armed group po.
Sige.
Colonel, how do you differentiate the private armed group or private army from the regular security ng mga politician? Kasi halos lahat ng politiko dito merong mga bodyguard eh. How do you identify kung sino yung private army doon saka yung security na, in fact ngayon naghihingi yan lahat ng mga politiko, nagdagdag daw na security pa.
Yung private armed groups po or PAGs, usually these are created to conduct atrocities. Now, not only to secure po the official, but these are used to the advantage politically and economically of the principal. May mga firearms po ito, either license or loose firearms. But the bottom line is hindi po maganda yung purpose ng gather nila na resource.
Sir, just to give us an idea, pagka sinabi pa po na dismantle all, what are we talking about in terms of numbers? I mean, can we actually identify, can you put a number to kung ilan ang private armies sa buong Pilipinas?
I don't have definite information, sir. No. Right now, here in Central Visayas, in response to that instruction, we will conduct assessment of the number of the private armed groups existing here and really to implement the instruction to dismantle all of these parts.
Sir, atasaw ng konti. I know you're not yet free to tell us kung sino yung inyong pinagsususpetsahan, pero Can you tell us kung nagbulgar na itong apat na ito ng pangalan sa inyo? Kung sino ang nag-utos sa kanila ng nagawin ito? Without naming names, have they told you who gave the order?
Yes, we have substantial information already, and we will use this in the subsequent police interventions that we are going to launch.
So they have identified, these suspects have already identified the mastermind. Is that it?
Meron na po.
Are you free to...
Maasahan ba natin maa-aresto yun within the week?
We will do everything in accord with law po to conduct operations and arrest all perpetrators, including po the mastermind.
Sir, pahabol na lang ako. Yung in-identify sa inyong mastermind nitong apat na ito ba'y tumutugma doon sa sinabi ng Pangulo na politika ang dahilan ng pangyayaring ito?
We will see po. We will see in the coming days ahead po. We have already, the SITG has already laid down the plans to arrest all perpetrators po.
Okay, maingat talaga si Sir. Sir, okay, huling hirit na lang, Sir. Kasi lahat ng administrasyon naman ay nagdeklara ng gera laban sa lahat ng mga private armies. Magmula pa nung matapos yung EDSA Revolution, every administration has declared war on private armies. Yung last iteration was yung panahon ni Gloria, pagkatapos ng Magandang Masakan. Bumuo pa siya ng isang komisyon para imbestigahan ng private armies. Isa sa mga findings nila, kadalasan sa hindi, yung private armies ay ay pinapondohan ng gobyerno mismo. Pinapondo ng gobyerno dahil ang pondo, baril at bala ay madalas galing sa gobyerno, dumadaan sa mga local politicians at ginagamit ito para sa kanilang mga private armies. I'm wondering po kung meron kayo nakikitang solusyon sa problemang yun na nagagamit ang pondo ng gobyerno sa mga private armies.
Right now, sir, here in Central Visayas, prior to this one, we were not able to monitor private arm groups here, but it appears that Negros Oriental, we will need to reassess. And as far as the mandate of the PNP is concerned, is that we are going to arrest and conduct police operations against suspects of violations of crime. So that would include, as our priority, the dismantling of private armed groups.
Okay. Lieutenant Colonel Gerard Pelare, sir, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Colonel.
Dagang salamat, sir. Dagang salamat po.
Si Lieutenant Colonel Pelare ang spokesman ng Special Task Force looking into this murder of Governor Digamo. And after this break, we're talking about the massive oil spill in Oriental Mindoro. Stay with us. The Chiefs will be right back.
The Coast Guard reports an oil spill off the coast of Nauhan, Oriental Mindoro. This came from the MT Princess Empress, which capsized on Tuesday and was carrying 800,000 liters of industrial oil.
The oil spill from sunken motor tanker in Oriental Mindoro has reached waters off the coast of Kaluya, Antique.
Malapot po ito at mas malaking amount ng heat ang kailangan po ito ay masunog ng gusto. Hindi po tulad ng ordinary diesel na pangsasakyan. Maapekto rin po ito sa kalusugan ng tao, katulad po ng maaring ubuhin sa baga po at maaari din pong mangati yung mga kabayan natin na maaring maapektuhan ito.
The local government of Pola in Oriental Mindoro slams the owner of the sunken MT Princess Empress for its supposed lack of action on the oil spill.
Until now, wala pa rin po silang nakuprovide ng tubong. So, ibig sabihin po talaga hindi kami pinapag report. A few days na wala po silang pakialam. Wala po silang kahit anong usap with the local chief executive sa ating bayan. Wala po talaga. Kahit makikita or wala po silang ginagawa.
More than 24,000 hectares of coral reef are at risk in Mindoro due to a recent oil spill. What can be done to minimize the damage? Let's speak to an expert, Dr. Irene Rodriguez of the UP Marine Science Institute. Magandang gabi, Professor Rodriguez, and welcome to the Chiefs.
Good evening.
Good evening po.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening to all of you and to all the listeners.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Ma'am, let me start off with a very simple question. Mukhang malawak itong problemang ito, 800,000 liters. Do we have enough resources to contain this or do we need to bring in other people from abroad like yung nangyari sa Guimaras?
As of now, the company who owns the Princess Empress already tapped the help of two cleanup companies in the Philippines. So we are receiving reports that Harbor Star and the Malayan Towage Salvage Company are already on site and are already preparing cleanup protocols for the area. And they are also in contact with experts from other countries, specifically Japan.
Now, just to be clear po, yung two companies, we have no idea how big those two companies are, but basically transferring the question now from government to these two companies, is that enough? Or ano pa pong kailangan natin? Gaano kalaki ba yung operation na kailangan mangyari dito?
This will require a larger operation compared to what we observed during the 2006 oil spill in Guimaras, because the 2006 spill involved 500,000 liters of oil. We are now confronting a spill that has 800,000 liters of oil. So in terms of response, we should be more proactive, and it should involve different sectors of the society, from the national government to the LGUs and to the coastal communities, if they can organize themselves into brigades for cleanup or protection of their coasts.
Yes, ma'am. Kanina, we were speaking with you kanina in the Chiefs. You mentioned this as well. We do still want to talk about national response. But on the community level, you said, if we could already inform them, warn them, this is coming, in fact, it's already there. But what can they actually do at the community level?
Okay, so this will require efforts such as the manual removal. Okay, so yung pag-iipon. Okay, so we've used feathers before, we have used cloth before. Regardless of how you think small the effort is, collectively that will amount to something larger and will contribute to minimizing the impact of oil or being easily removed and the timely manner that it is removed from our environment. Malaki yung ang contribution ng ating countrymen in that aspect.
Professor, pinanonood namin yung images, parang ang hirap-hirap ng pag-clean up Talagang minamanual, mano-mano yung paglilinis Can you tell us, on the other hand, meron daw ngayon na bini-break up yung into smaller particles to collect the oil doon sa tubig. Pero can you tell us kung ano yung ginagawa doon? Saka paano yun? Ganitong yung
hindi pa actually na-locate. It's about 1,000 feet below yata.
Paano yan? Tuloy-tuloy yung paglabas ng oil nun. How do you clean that?
Yes, okay. So unfortunately, because of the prevailing weather conditions in the area, we have not pinpointed the exact location of the vessel. We have a rough estimate of where it is currently located, pero yung exact location niya is not yet known. Okay, and knowing where it is located exactly will, of course, help in preventing the spread because we can address it very close to the point source. Okay. Now, when we know exactly where it is located, then yung addressing it at the point source will involve various ways. Okay. So one way will be to conduct in situ burning. So that's controlled burning of the oil on the surface of the water. Another one will be to use skimmers or booms. And then this will contain, ideally, will contain the water in the air, the oil in contained environment, and then some vessels that are equipped with skimmers or yung pang-siphon sa kanila can be put into work. Okay, if that doesn't work, the other alternative will be to apply dispersants. Okay, so right now these are being done. And the dispersants will change the chemical properties of the oil, making it easier to handle and break apart. Okay, among all of these techniques or responses to the oil spill, I would put the use of dispersants to be the lowest priority. Mas maganda yung mechanical na removal of the oil or the burning of the oil on top of the water rather than the use of dispersants, because this will just break the oil into smaller pieces, but there's still a potential for the oil to sink and then still affect the environment.
Paano yung damage niya to coral reefs? Irreversible ba yun? Kasi of course there are a lot of concern about yung oil spill is so close daw to the Verde Island Passage. Kaya mukhang napakaraming matatamaan doon, di ba? We have an extensive network of coral reefs. Paano kapag nalatag na yun, nadikitan na?
Okay. So
makaka-recover pa ba yung reef?
Yes, so based on the projections done by our colleagues here at the MSI, by the team of Dr. Cesar Villanoy, yung projections, this was done last Thursday, so that's March 2. So based on the projections, they look at different scenarios. Okay, and based on wind direction and prevailing yung winds from March 2 until now, we have revised the trajectory of the oil slick, and the trajectory now is going southwards. So it's not going to influence a majority of the Verde Island Passage. It's going southwards now, which is already validated by reports from netizens na they are observing oil in Pinamalayan and also in Pola and also southern parts of the area where the vessel sank.
Ma'am, sabi nga po ninyo, every little effort counts, and that is true po. Pero I suppose at a certain point, we have to think in terms of industrial scale. Yung talagang maramihan, because you're looking at potentially 800,000 liters of fuel oil potentially, spreading throughout our seas. And that's a huge amount. In the end po, how can this be done on an industrial scale, and by whom dapat?
Okay, so as I was mentioning earlier, meron ng dalawang companies that are tapped to address or to offer their services in the cleanup. Okay, what can be done, as I was saying earlier, would be to address it at the point source. So either in situ burning, so that's a controlled burning of the oil, or the use of compounded, not just booms, but booms with skimmers and also mechanical siphoning off of the oil from the surface. And kung aabot talaga sa mga coastal environments, what can be done will be to put in dams. Okay, so this can be in place already in the coastal barangays where it's already identified that it will reach their areas. So just imagine that dam acting as kind of a sacrificial area for the oil to be collected in. So in that way, we sacrifice one part and then protect the rest of the coast. This can be done as well. And for those areas, the parts of the coast that are so yung mga yung mga bakawan natin, tama, mangroves, where these are present in massive population, difficult na kasi yun na i-manage in terms of heavy machineries. So we have to weigh alin ba ang mas better, putting in the machinery and a lot of people in these areas, or leaving the oil to degrade naturally. Because there are microorganisms that will be able to break down the oil, and also some fraction of the oil will just undergo natural degradation process because of the wave action and also the influence of the sun. So effect of temperature and pressure from all of these natural factors, plus the action of microorganisms in the area, will help degrade the oil in the long term. Okay.
Ma'am, tama po ba pagkaintindi ko that so far a lot of the interventions that we are talking about are basically on the surface and at the levels where we can get to them or even see them. But you talked about how important it is to actually get to the site for burning options and whatever. But talk to us about the marine geology. If and when we actually finally find kung saan talaga lumubog yan, how hard is it to even get to that, to the ship, to the sinking, and how hard is it to intervene at that level, not just yung oil at the surface?
Okay, so there are vessels that are equipped with remotely operated vehicles. Okay, so ROVs, and these ROVs are made very specifically for the purpose of kung na-imagine kung may open na bunk na anything doon, you can program your ROV to address that down there. Okay, so remotely operated siya, so you can just manipulate and program the robot to address the problem there. Okay, so technically we can do this, and yung Harbor Star already said that they are deploying a vessel equipped with these robots.
Meron na nga daw initial finding na mukhang nakita na nga yung location. Tentatively lang naman. But anyway, kapag nakita na yan and we finish the cleanup, gaano katagal before people can fish again in the affected area? Kasi yung mga fisher folk dun sa communities, lalo sa Pola, wala. Patay yung kanilang livelihood ngayon eh. How long will they have to wait?
This will largely depend on the amount of oil that has reached their shores and the efficiency and efficacy of the cleanup process that will be employed by the companies as well as the LGUs and, of course, the volunteers who will participate in the cleanup. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a very specific answer to this because we will have to determine if indeed the oil or the environment or the coast is already free of oil before we can advise our fisher folk to return to fishing.
Ma'am, can you speak to us of the experience in 2006 in terms of the medium and long-term impact of the oil spill and the recovery efforts after that on the ecosystem of the area?
Okay, so the active cleanup took several years, and after that, yung environment, nature has a way to heal itself. Okay, so for now, there are still reports that organisms or parts of the oil are still detected there, and this can happen, especially if the type of oil is has persistent additives. Okay, so majority of the oil naman na ginagamit na natin ngayon doesn't have the toxic ones like before na meron tayong lead additives and all those things. So for properly managed rehabilitation efforts, cleanup operations, we are looking at around 3 to 5 years for mangroves specifically.
Okay. Corals and seagrass beds, kasi I think those are the other primary factors to be considered in that area. Merong coral reefs, 20,000 hectares ba yung nakalagay doon, and another 6,000 hectares of seagrass beds.
Unfortunately, for both corals and the seagrasses, when these are affected, it will take longer than that to recover. So it will take longer than 3 to 5. Kasi ang advantage kasi ng mangroves, because they are in the boundary of, most of these are in the estuarine areas. So mangroves are more resilient as opposed to the other ecosystems.
Well,
So you would expect that for corals and the seagrasses, it will take longer than that to recover.
How much longer? Give us an idea.
Decades.
Years.
Decades.
A decade?
Unfortunately.
Oh my goodness. Professor, would you know if anyone has been penalized for an oil spill? Kahit mga major cases lang, meron na ba?
International, there are a lot. In other countries, yes. But in the Philippines, I'm not so familiar with yung current situation. I mean, kung aling spill yung na-penalize yung aling company for making that. Because most of the spills naman, yung may-ari ng companies are very proactive in curtailing yung damages done in the environment and also in our countrymen. So I'm hoping that this time around, moving forward, we will be prepared for, it's not really that we need to prepare. We always need to prepare. But if we can prevent something like this from happening again, that will be the ideal situation.
What should we be investing in? I mean, obviously this is not the first time. This is not going to be the last time. We're surrounded by the seas and the ocean. It's so important to the whole identity and nature of the Philippines. What should we be investing in?
So first and foremost, we should be implementing and expecting all operators of these vessels to operate with really proper maintenance and proper guidance. Okay. Other than that, our national government and the local government units, especially in areas such as these, where the passageway or their shores are used as important corridors, they should be equipped with vessels that can respond right away to this condition. It may not be down to the LGUs, but at least in the provincial level, they should be equipped with vessels that can respond, because these vessels will also be useful in responding to typhoons and other natural calamities.
Ma'am, are these all resource questions, or are there any policy and legal frameworks that we're actually lacking as well?
Mostly, I think it will be both at this point.
Well,
We should recognize. Sorry, you go ahead.
Policy-wise, what can be done?
Policy-wise, we can impose that every important province with these passageways should have that in place. The response and also a way to communicate, because it will be a lot easier if this will be reported right away that there's a potential for an oil spill, and then booms and then the skimmers can be deployed easily.
Yes, ma'am. Pero ma'am, that's already a reaction eh. But shouldn't we go to the root of the problem, which is yung nature and yung condition ng mga barko these oil tankers that come and go and crisscross the islands? Because in the end, that's what it boils down to. Do we need more or stricter laws or regulations or penalties to make sure that the boats that carry these material do not sink and cause damage to the environment?
Yes, very good point. I believe we have the rules in place already, but it's a matter of implementation. So it's really for the business owners to be accountable and to ensure that their vessels are seaworthy, and for the implementing agency or the monitoring agencies to also be wary and always do their job in making the necessary inspections and all of those things that are part of the regulation.
Okay. Professor Rodriguez, ma'am, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Irene Rodriguez of the UP Marine Science Institute. And that is all we have for the Chiefs. We hope it was discussed. We'll keep the conversation going. I'm Robbie Alampay.
I'm Mami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.